according to the Shadow Justice Secretary, Labour has lost the trust of British Muslim voters over its handling of the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Shaban Mahmood warned that it may be proved difficult for the party to regain support from Islamic communities following a backlash to Sir Keir Starmer's stance on Gaza.
Well, joining us now is Imam and broadcaster Ajmal Masroor. Ajmal, good morning. Where do you think it all went wrong for Keir Starmer on this issue?
Good morning. I hope you guys are well. Forgive we I'm sounding tired or exhausted. I haven't slept yet because I'm fasting, and these days we spend most nights in the mosque, unfortunately. So, you know, I'm going to be as good as I can. So Keir Starmer's downfall, perhaps, with the Muslim community comes from the fact that he has taken the Muslim vote for granted. I don't know whether you know, 80% of the Muslim population vote for the Labour Party. And in 2019 election, out of the constituencies of about 30, most of them voted for the Labour Party. So Labour Party has enjoyed Muslim support up and down the country. Keir Starmer, unfortunately, being a human rights lawyer, when he said in that fateful interview, and that is that Israel has the right to defend itself even at the expense of violating human rights and international law, switching off electricity, water and food, I think he pressed the wrong button. That was the final straw that broke the camel's back. Up and down the country, wherever I go, and I often travel, I hear one very simple message. Muslim communities are going to vote with their feet, and they're going to teach Labour Party a lesson for this treacherous betrayal that they've experienced and they're witnessing. And Labour Party has done very little to actually protest or do something substantive to stop this genocide in Gaza.
Now, you're right in saying that 80% of the Muslim population tends to vote Labour. The latest polling suggests that of those 80%, 60% would continue to do so. So they've lost 40% of that vote over their stance. And Shaban Mahmood's warning is a strong one to Keir Starmer. Now, also, if you look back all that time ago, just in terms of the backlash that they had over that vote, remember all of those frontbenchers who were resigned or who were sacked as well. So again, Keir Starmer at the moment has to tread water to win this election. But it is things like this that are becoming to the fore that may well unseat him.
I don't know that you saw 20 local councillors in Yorkshire or Lancashire resigned yesterday over Keir Starmer's leadership. And before then, we had seen it in Rochdale, we had seen it in Sheffield, in many local constituencies and local areas where Labour Party was very strong and is still very strong. And you know, in Rochdale, though 35,000 Muslim voters live in the area, it was enough for George Galloway to win by simply getting 12,000 votes. So in some areas, small switch and small swing will lose, or Labour Party will lose their seats, including Keir Starmer could be, he could be in danger. He could lose his seat, because I know Muslim community in St Pancras are organising themselves. So are they organising up and down the country. The message is very simple. We don't want to stand with anybody who has supported the genocide or has refrained from calling for a ceasefire or actually just stayed silent. This is not acceptable. We as an international community have an obligation to stop any war from taking place, especially unjust and aggressive one, especially occupation. And Keir Starmer hasn't done any of that. And he has actually penalised MPs and councillors who have done something with their conscience. And all of those things are going to bite him pretty badly.
And Ajmal, do you think it's problematic to focus solely on Muslim voters in this argument? Because at the end of the day, you don't have to be Muslim in order to have an issue with what's going on in Gaza. Equally, you don't have to be Jewish to be upset about and want the release of the hostages. Why do you think there is such a focus on purely the Muslim vote? You know, Muslim marches, Muslim peace protests, etc., when actually there's a lot of non-Muslim people who would support exactly the same argument?
And I think you've made a fantastic point. I was going to say that to you all. The Gaza sentiment of Palestine, the support is ground-swelling support. More than 750,000 people marched in London, and this is a very small number actually were Muslims if you look at the protesters and the participants. So you're absolutely right. People of faith, no faith, Muslims, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Sikhs, people of faith and no faith are coming together and saying enough is enough. Stop this massacre. Stop this mayhem. So you're right. It shouldn't be Muslim votes, but also there is a substantial thing, and that is Muslim votes have been ignored, or Muslim interests and issues have been ignored by Labour Party, and we've already given up on the Conservatives. We don't even trust that they will do anything for Muslims.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.